You always got to start out with a little hoop, right? Little technical difficulty mishap on Bobby Bean's behalf. Shout out to Randy, who's already in the comment section. Appreciate you, sir. Man, when it comes to events, podcasts, Randy is there, but he runs on Packer time. Randy, I don't even know if you know that. I don't know if you know what Packer time is or Lombardi time. 15 minutes early or you're late. Randy is Lombardi time programmed. Appreciate him. Again, events, doesn't matter where. I'll be. I could host an event in Florida for whatever reason, and Randy would be there when I get there to start setting up. Randy would be like, "Hey, let's do this." Appreciate you, Randy, very much, sir. Heather's in the house. Thank you, Heather, for showing up tonight. She also shows up everywhere because she's a baller. We've got a lot of you guys who are really a part of this thing. It is not just the Bobby Beans. I am just the talking face. You guys are the bread and butter that make this thing happen. Heath, another example. So thanks for stopping out tonight. Really excited for tonight's guest, which I'll get to in just a moment. Before we do, want to give a huge shout out to the folks over at Ignite Dispensary and Cigar. Just had another wonderful meeting with those folks this week. They are the group that I check in with ideas when it comes to telling people about products and safety, people who check their products and make sure they get them tested thoroughly. And if they don't pass the tests, they don't sell it. Ignite Dispensary has been an ally for a very long time, just personally and from a business standpoint. So, really appreciate everything they are doing. Again, they are located across Wisconsin. I just had the diddly deal here with their locations because there's a bunch. So I got to write them down. Otherwise, I can't remember. But I know that there is Manitowoc, Milwaukee, Spooner, Hayward, Superior, and there's the list. New Richmond. That's the one I always forget. So much love to the folks at Ignite and being a part of this and helping us be able to talk to you folks. Again, just a reminder, even though we're talking with LaToya tonight, we always do this once a week as well as a platform for people to ask their cannabis questions. I'm not going to cut out or, like be like, hey, LaToya, wait, we got to answer this. If you do have a question about cannabis, so we will answer it at the end. That is part of why we do the live platform, especially in Wisconsin, where right now it is not something that a lot of people can talk openly about. We want to make sure that we offer that space for questions. We've got all kinds of folks in the industry who are here to help one another, from nurses to business owners to producers. So if you got cannabis questions and you're in Wisconsin, even if you're not in Wisconsin, feel free to ask them. And if you can stick around, we'll definitely answer them at the end. Whew. Take a breath, Bobby Beans. It's been like a week, guys, a week and a day. So getting all excited here for tonight's show. Seriously. So LaToya, I saw her at the, I always get the order mixed up, Pizza Pot and Politics event that we had down in Appleton a few weekends ago. And I could just tell from the moment she was talking, like, you guys know, I do not say, well, we got to go all, vote Democratic, vote Republican. I try to keep us all together, try to keep the comments like, hey guys, let's calm down. Nobody is raised to vote a certain way to piss off somebody else. Like, there's just, voting isn't that easy, okay? Or your political beliefs are not that easy. The approach I've had since I've started talking to politicians is I feel like I have a built-in bullshit meter, and a realness meter. And this lady, she wasn't even talking about cannabis right away. And I was just like, this lady, you'll see. She's awesome. Again, I don't say, oh, vote for this person because they're in this party. I like to bring on people who are real and can share a perspective that involves a live audience, which I think anybody in office should be able to do. But that's just me. So I'm going to quit yapping. LaToya, let's get you in here. How are we doing this evening, LaToya?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Excited to have you on tonight. Excited to find out a little bit about your backstory, and just to hear what you have up your sleeve as far as what your next steps are, and get things rolling for you and what your endeavors entail. So, could you just tell us a little bit about your background growing up in Wisconsin, and how did it kind of shape you into who you are today?
Yeah, the crazy thing though, like looking back, I can see how all of these things contributed to this moment. But going through them, I could just tell you it was hard. Like
Yeah.
growing up in Wisconsin, um, life has been good and twisted and all in between. My family was super conservative, and I grew up with an upbringing of You do the work, you work really hard, you're able to be successful. Those were important things. Also, I'm from a military family, so giving back, having a civic duty, I was not army material. So that was not a calling for me. Like a
Okay.
jumping jack is a lot for me. So I
Sure,
don't
sure.
serve that way. But I had this desire, this inbred desire to do and be more. Sound like I'm doing an army slogan, but be all you can be. But that was something that was instilled in me from early on. But like I said, life is hard, and I think that looking back, growing up, having a family that had experienced poverty, having a family that experienced, self-employment, having a family that's been in farming, having a family that was in healthcare, all of those things helped to give me a different viewpoint. So looking back, I can say all of that stuff got me to this place where I have a better understanding and empathy than a lot of folks. But at the time, I can just say that some of the things I'm looking for now, like in education and healthcare and social programs and all that stuff, are those things that were missing in my life when I was growing up in Wisconsin.
Sure. Well, and I think that's what that probably is what helped build the character that you are today, which is this like a sense of accomplishment when I hear you talk as far as like well-roundedness, if that makes essentially what I'm trying to
Mhm.
get to is I feel like and what I look for in politicians or just people, because to me, politicians should be leaders of the community, of the folks of the state, the voters, right? And
Mhm.
something to me that I have come to find out is a lot of these folks, I'm not sure that politics works how they should from voter standpoints, which to
Mhm.
me, somebody to run for office should have an awesome foundation of like bricks is kind of how I picture like
Mhm.
I went through this. That's a brick that, I
Mhm.
got through it. I learned some stuff. I want to help some people. And that, I feel like if you've had, not to say any politician has had it easy or, but I just feel like a lot of times it's like, hey, you're super successful in business or whatever, you should be a politician. This would be gravy for you. And then,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like you talk to this person and it's like, what, this doesn't feel real. Where again, taking the time to sit down with us here, talk about a topic like this, so on and so forth. I think, it's awesome to hear your what got you to where you are, and it's not just like this. Hey, I want to be a politician and be what? Yeah, I just it's politics seems so lost in the state of Wisconsin to me. Do you feel that too a little bit?
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, this is the best word I can give you, scary.
There you go.
It's like it's trippy because I remember not that long ago, and this is not a popular thought, but I'm being honest. Like I would just look at people, listen to what they had to say, and then I would vote. Now I'm a Democrat. Yeah, but for me, that means this is kind of where my values lie. It doesn't mean I vote Democrat all the time. That's never been, I've always voted for the people that I think, even if it hurts me, is it better for our community? And now that used to be okay. And now it seems like we're at a gang war and there's no winners, and I don't think that it's really the voters per se that have created this. It just seems like there's folks that are supposed to be leading who are sowing this division where we lose and they keep winning, right?
Yeah,
um, I was having this conversation on social media. I usually don't respond to whatever people say on
yeah,
social media. I just like, okay, you have a perspective, unless it's super hateful. And I'm like, well, other people be offended. But anyway, as long as you're not, doing crazy stuff, being threatening, do you?
sure.
But I was just fascinated by this perspective that somehow it's not okay to talk to people who are different. And like if you and I don't agree, this is my opportunity to learn something new. That's my perspective. Like for real.
Sure.
I could be completely wrong about some stuff, and I talk to you and I get a different perspective. And even if we don't agree, then the next time I meet someone who has your perspective, at least I understand a little bit more. That's my thing.
Sure.
And right now, it's just crazy to me that we have people who sit in office and are paid by tax dollars. and don't think that they have to talk to the people they represent, right? That's crazy to me, and will boldly tell you they're not going to talk to you because you don't agree with them.
Yeah,
And so, like, again, I'm on
I get
social
that quite
media,
a bit.
right?
Yeah,
And I'm just no, you're supposed to talk to everybody. They don't have to talk to you. But I digress. Like, what job can you be in where you pick and choose which of your bosses you talk to?
yeah, that's a great point, and it does. So actually, I today I thought, you know what, I'm gonna. So this is just my mail today. I've already voted, minded you, and so is my wife. But so this one, it's a crossword from Hovde, and it's a crossword for Tammy Baldwin. The words that describe Tammy Baldwin: do nothing, special interest, extreme, failure, corrupt. Okay, so this to me is like a form of my opponent sucks, and that's what I'm trying to push. That's why you should vote for me, which I can't stand. Okay, and I think that's probably what all this is. Oh, this is an insurance thing, so that's good. At least it's not
That could be good.
political. This looks like I hate one. Oh, it's Jim Rafter. He's going to put you abortion from 1849. Right? Oh, here we go. It's simple. Jamie Wall's agenda will cost you more.
Mm-hmm.
What this other guy's doing wrong? Why the other guy's not good? Oh, this one actually. Oh, hey. Oh no, Wisconsin families can't risk Jim Rafter. Oh, so then they talk to somebody, so they make it look all nice. A woman's life is at risk because of her pregnancy. Oh, they've sent one to me and my wife, Jim Rafter. Blah blah blah. Like, yeah, where's what happened to like if I go look at a car, I want to know what's good about it. Not
Yeah.
here's what the other cars suck. Like it just seems so backwards and frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, there's such an opportunity. I feel like for us, the people, to not fall into this, but
Mm-hmm.
the majority is falling into. I mean, you see it in the comments on any page about anything, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's Packers, the
Yeah.
meteorologist posting about the weather, right? It's always,
Mm-hmm.
but then they see your picture and oh, you hunt, so you must be this and you do that. Calm down, people. We don't have to attack each other like this propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just so it's just it hurts. It really
Mm-hmm.
does because I ideally I would like to intervene everywhere I can to just be like, hey, just take a second and like to try to help these people, but that's obviously impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
And and it's exhausting. And I might add in, and it's expensive. I just want to put that one in there. Like
Yeah,
we complain so much about, oh my gosh, we have hospitals closing, but we can't afford that. We have kids, who need textbooks. We can't afford that. We have all these referendums on bills lately because school districts don't have enough money. We can't afford to give the schools more money. But we can raise literally millions of dollars to put into sending paper around so that we can tell people how to vote. And somehow this is a new thing for me. I didn't realize this going in. Like how much money you're able to raise is considered to be successful. Like
yeah,
if I'm not going around begging people for $5, I've done a bad job today. And I don't because I know people probably need to spend their $5 somewhere else. So for me,
yeah.
I accept all campaign donations, but I am not asking people to no, don't buy bread. Help me put some paper in your mailbox. That doesn't feel right to me. But
I feel you. And so not to bark up any other sometimes folks get all excited when I do talk politics, but I try to be as transparent as I can. And one day it's gonna get me in trouble somehow, which it shouldn't, but I just tell it like it is. And because like I covered the Waltz events, but that was because they gave us a press pass. Like I try to play it as by the book as I can, right? Like that is what I try to do. And I was gonna try to pull up where is because you talk about this money thing, like I feel legitimately bad for some folks who are out there that check their email. And I'm trying to pull up. I had to unsubscribe from Donald Trump a couple weeks ago with the emails that he was sending. But even the Harris campaign, it's at least 5 times a day, and it's just and it looks super. I mean, it's coming from the Kamala Harris campaign, and it's we need your money. Trump is gaining ground. This is not good. Da, 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 da. Donate today. You haven't donated it yet. Today the day. Like I just fear for here. Here's one. I just got one 38 minutes ago.
Hmm.
Uh, Bob's donation history. Looks like you haven't donated yet.
Yeah.
Like, this is just mind boggling that it has turned into this money.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I wish I could do them. I wish I could ask somebody how many of these got sent out and how much did it cost, and then times it by how many I get a day. It just
Hmm.
okay. I need to stop talking about it.
I'm
I'll talk about it
sorry.
all night long.
I've
So
upset you, but
you have, damn it, Bates.
I'm sorry, but this is my mindset. Most of the it's just amazing to me that we spend all of this money just to get people's votes, but then when we want to do anything else, we don't have any money.
Right.
That it ugh. I digress. I'm gonna go back to
Yes, we'll
something
go to the
nice.
next subject. But I do think what's hopeful to me is that we could one day have people back to common sense politics. And again, there's
Mhm,
plenty of people who I'm sure are doing it the right, or good politicians. I feel like I met some of them, and there has to be some out there. But there's just some other big machine that whether it's money or power. I'm sure it's a mixture of both. That I hope
mhm,
someday we can kind of get back to. I was just talking to somebody about all this. I can't even remember who. I've been meeting quite a few people the last couple of weeks, and because they're like, "Well, yeah, but what are you going to do about it?" I'm like, "Just because I can't fix it doesn't mean it's okay." Like, because
mhm,
how could you get everybody? I was like, if perfect scenario, something that I think could completely change the landscape of the United States of America and everyone who lives in it. Okay,
mhm,
what if tomorrow we wake up and let's wait. I would do it in the evening. So let's say at like 6 p.m. I feel like the majority of folks are home, especially people with a family, because I think this message should be targeted to families because they can spread it to their loved ones right away. What would you do if all of a sudden it's a special, 15-minute countdown, special announcement, alert, 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 special announcement, and then it was Trump and Kamala, and they're sitting at a table, and they both apologize and say things have gotten out of control here in the United States with the amount of hate or the amount of back and forth. We want to work together.
mhm,
And somehow it ends up basically this would never happen. But if it ended with so essentially, no matter who wins this election, we're going to work side by side for the next
mhm,
4 years. We're not going to agree on everything, but we're going to
mhm,
treat each other with respect, and we're going to demand that out of our parties, from the DC to every state to your city councils. All we're going to push for is respect and working together.
mhm.
And I just feel like it would. What would people do? What would people have to complain about for like that night, right? What are you gonna? What would people do in the comment section? Would they say,
Mhm.
"Oh, they're both stupid"? Like, wait a second, I can't. They're agreeing. What do I do? Like, am I? What do you think would
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah, I think that there would be people who each blamed the other for turning the other stupid, and then they would say it was like some AI and fake news or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, that's true. That AI is getting crazy. But right,
Mhm,
like it would. I don't know. I can't even comprehend what it might do because things
mhm.
have just gotten so divided. I just
Yeah.
that would be interesting. Again, that's might not even be the answer, but I would just could we just try it for 24 hours, and if
Mhm,
everyone's happy and there seems to be some hope again, could we
mhm,
try rolling with it until the wheels fall off? Then, like I just feel like every year, especially come election year, the
mhm,
wheels just start like for me and seeing friends and family get
mhm.
so if you don't believe in my party, screw you, buddy. It's like,
Yes.
golly. But
Yeah.
all right, we're gonna get more about you though, Latoya. I
Oh,
apologize.
well,
I
I was
appreciate
in
this is
there.
what
No worries.
I knew this could happen though because I felt that realness just hearing you talk. So I appreciate
Mm,
you, and I do think you're the kind of person we need in office. So let's start with that.
mm.
But speaking of office, what kind of got you? What can you remember? Basically, kind of a time frame or a where the hell were you just like, you know what? I'm gonna do something about this. Because kudos to you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I think it's kind of a three-parter.
Okay.
Way back when I was in my well, I shouldn't say it like that. Not so long ago when I was in my 20s,
Yep.
I I realized it's so crazy. Like I came to the realization this is like me. I want to be a judge because judges make decisions that impact people. This was a fleeting thought. It was fleeting. Okay, like I'm going to
Sure.
be a judge. And then I learned that judges had to go to college, become a lawyer, and then get elected. And I went, yep, nope, not gonna do that.
Sure.
That's a lot. That's a lot of work. But I was interested in what being elected meant and what it looked like, and I had never thought of that before. Like no one in my family that I knew of had ever run for office. I'd never seen this. These are like these people way up on pedestals,
Sure.
and it wasn't real for me. So once upon a time, I was a hungry person, and I was at Alverno at the time, and I saw this. I'm old, so like a little flyer about the White House project. It would be a
Yeah.
social media post today, but it
Oh
was a
yeah, yeah.
piece of paper flyer
Sure, sure.
today.
Old school.
And the White House project was going to have this training, and it was at Mount Mary College, which is a sister to Alverno. And it was over a weekend where I didn't have class. And here's what did it for me: they had free food. So I was down. All right.
Now, did you have the munchies
I just
at
was
the time?
I was just hungry. I
Okay.
was a
No, I
normal
feel you.
girl
That's
hungry.
even
There was no
worse.
yes, it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
just the things I did for meals back then. It's like,
Sure, sure.
"Oh, go to this information session. Great, I'll buy a I don't
Let's
have house,
spend
like,
4 hours and we'll give you a Big Mac. Yeah, okay. Save
right.
us the money. Yeah.
That's perfect. But, hindsight. But I went to the White House project and I met all of these women who were elected officials, and I didn't really appreciate it like I knew it was a really cool experience, but I didn't think this was like a transformative moment in my life. And I got the opportunity to meet Val Phillips on the last day, and she gave this presentation about how she never thought she would run for office. She wanted her husband to run for office. I could get behind that. That sounds
Sure.
pushing someone else. And so Val couldn't get her husband to do it. And, you're married, that conversation sounds nice when you tell other people. I was persistent, it was nagging. And she couldn't get her husband to run for office. And then finally he said to her, "Well, honey, why don't you do it?" And for the first time she thought of herself as possibly a candidate. And she went on and she ran for alderperson and she won, and she went on up to become Secretary of State. And that stayed with me for many years. And I said, well, if anyone ever asked me to run for office, I certainly will do it, but you'd have to ask me. Flash forward, we moved to Dodge County, and I really didn't know anything. I didn't know the representatives. I didn't know the political landscape. Somehow I missed the fact that there was this divide between Democrats and Republicans. I don't know. I made sure we had pizza and tacos, and I thought we were good.
Right.
I didn't ask those questions. And so as I was looking to talk to people to get an idea of how to get involved, how to get anchored, how I learned that we had representatives that didn't necessarily talk to us and didn't return calls and didn't do anything. These were not my words. I'm regurgitating what others told me. And I didn't believe that because people are so dramatic. I just couldn't find information and support and answers that I was looking for. And so I started to ask people like, yeah, we should totally, think about voting differently, next campaign cycle. And then I learned there were no people running, if folks were running unopposed. Like, well, how can we change anything if we don't have any change agents?
Sure.
And after a couple cycles of, well, why don't we? Like, well, remember that time you said
Yeah.
that if there ever was an opportunity and someone asked you to run, maybe this is that time. And here we are.
Awesome. So it
Yeah.
just it lined up, right? Like it's that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly can say that I had enough sleepless nights. I was overworked enough. I was busy enough. I have no desire for power or fighting. I think it's crazy that I'm a politician. Like I am no different than I was 3 months ago. I'm the same person saying the same stuff, just suddenly serious because I'm a candidate. Like I said the same things 6 months ago, but now people hear differently. And I think that's both amazing and sad because when I was a regular person, people should have been listening then too, because I'm still a regular person. I'm just a regular person that's asking to represent my district.
Well, that's awesome. That see something like that. Now, I feel like there's politicians who could say some, or just people in general who could pitch something like that. But I just feel the realness with you, and that's something that I appreciate. And again, I want to highlight people like yourself. I feel like if we had people like yourself in office and we could actually do some change. And early on, some people were like, well, Bob, you should run for office. And I was like, no, I shouldn't, because I have started going to the Capitol to try to meet with some folks, right, to try to figure out what this is when I first started early on with like my advocacy, not really even having a clue what I was doing other than the Capitol. It seems to be where the politicians meet, so let's see what happens.
Mhm.
And then the fact that there can just be people in state office who just, we're not going to talk to you, and it's like, because you're not our constituent. I'm like, I understand that, but I represent 10,000 Wisconsin voices, and I just want to ask you what your stance is on legalization, or try to help educate. And the fact that people can just be like you said, just, I'm not going to listen to that, boss. Like, that just really rubs me the wrong way. And
Mhm.
I feel like that's where things need to change, and it's not going to be a
Mhm.
fast process by any means. Um, but could you imagine that? Oh, so real quick, back to what we were talking about running for office, because I just could not go to that office knowing that Robin Voss is in the same building, and he won't even just say one word about legalization to my face. Or and I don't want to argue with the guy.
Mhm.
I want to learn, what are your concerns,
Mhm.
what what's your holdup, right,
Mhm.
and work together. I'm not saying
Mhm.
any idea that we have is perfect, or any idea you have is perfect, but how do we know anything if we don't sit down and talk, right? Like,
Mhm.
and I think that's what we need in politics. And again, I like where you're coming from. I like that your reasoning for running, and I hope that you're able to keep that great head on your shoulders, because I think hopefully we can get a few more of those in there, and find the ones who are there for the right reason, and really start to make some good change in this state. It feels like everything in this state is, well, we want one side, we want to do this, but we can't because of the other side. Like,
Mhm.
what was the last big thing in Wisconsin that happened that was like good for everybody, or the majority? I just feel like everything, it's, oh, we're going to do this, the one side, and then the other side like takes them out at the knees, and or we're going to pass this bill, but then you see
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, but there's 400 other things a part of this. Like, it's just silly. It's the word that comes to mind. So um
Yeah, juvenile in some ways.
yeah.
I, it just, like, I remember being okay, not really because I'm old, but there was a time when I was in high school, right? And it was okay to hold grudges and to not want to sit with certain people, right? That
Yep.
was cool. But like just simple things like clean water. If you don't have clean water, I don't have clean water. Why am I going to talk about, like, okay, well, I just don't want to work with so and so on a clean water bill, but it affects all of us, right?
Yeah.
And I think something like legalization, in my truly, I can't back this up, opinion, I really do believe that this is just one of those pillars that folks have decided that they are going to disagree on. And there's a lot of people who are afraid of being honest about what they want
Sure.
because they're afraid of the ramifications. So, in short, we've reached a level of being political where we can't be honest anymore if we want to get reelected. Now, I am not a super popular person. That's never been my thing. That
Yeah.
all my life I've been I've been honest.
Sure.
I've been fighting for what I believe. I am going to tell you the truth. You listen, you don't listen, I can sleep at night, right? And I get it. For folks, this is their job. This is like all, so they may want to legalize, but they don't want to talk about it. They there's a lot of stuff, but it's just, it seems juvenile to me because at the end of the day, if the people are saying this is what we want and the people are voting you in office, then why are you succumbing to the lunchroom bullies when it's the people that you're supposed to serve? If you're no longer serving the people, then this is not the job for you. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And I don't expect to be in the assembly for 30 years. I just need us to get some things done and then move on because there'll be someone that's smarter, cuter, faster, whatever you all need, that's going to come forward. But I also think that's another problem for us. We get into office, and this is a career path now, and we don't want to mess up our good job, but we don't want to serve. And we've had a long time where people can stay in office and get reelected with doing nothing, openly doing nothing. And we as a people, we got to stop that. So to a degree, I'm sorry, people listening, we're doing it to ourselves. We got to come out, we got to vote. We got to vote honestly, and we got to put people in office that are going to support us. And if we put people in office and they flip, like you were saying, we're going to the Capitol, we're writing letters, we're petitioning, we're getting groups, and then we get them out. But that's LaToya's little soapbox.
No, I like that. That's a good little soapbox you got there. Kind of talking a little more into specific parts of politics, that obviously being the cannabis legalization. You kind of started to touch on that. Um, was there really a time when legalization became an important issue for you? Or when you decided this is something I'm okay advocating, or is it
Mm,
just something that you've always been passionate about, or how'd that kind of come into
yeah,
play?
I'm going to be honest with you. Legalization is important to me because it's important to Wisconsin. It's not like I can't finish a glass of wine without falling out. And I have there's a whole history there, and I'm not gonna get into the conversations between weed smoking and drinking. And I know someone's gonna say right now that's because you shouldn't be drinking. I get that, but but for me, it represents so many opportunities for Wisconsin. First and foremostly, I think we've reached a place where it's culturally acceptable.
Yeah,
There was a time when it was, "Oh my
you're
goodness,"
right.
and "Clutch your pearls," and now
Yeah.
it's just like,
Can you believe?
you know? Like, so we gotta we just have to accept the fact that that's the time that we're living in. Regardless of how you feel about it, this is what's happening. Then folks can have you can go anywhere around here and get anything that you want legally and illegally. Okay, illegally in Wisconsin, it exists, but legally in Illinois and all other places. But at the end of the day, from a strictly capitalistic perspective, anything that has the ability to bring money to small businesses and farmers, I support. Anything that can help people who are suffering with pain and mental health challenges, I support. Anything that helps people with their quality of life at end of life, I can support that as well. And anything that, what was that Marquette poll? Nearly 70% of Wisconsin says, let's do it. Then why would I say anything otherwise?
Right.
Now, personally, I am what was it? See, now I gotta do math. 1999. Yes, I started dating someone back in 1999 who, wow, legalization would have helped with a lot of things. And during the course of all these years, we have had arguments back and forth, and our arguments were basic between, okay, well, it's just an herb and it's natural. Like, okay, but it's still illegal. But we can change it from being illegal. Will we ever, how do we do that? Like, these are the conversations I've been having for the last 25 years. I know that there's a whole bunch of folks that have had THC possession charges, manufacturing with intent to deliver charges, all of these things. Folks could, there's still folks that are serving prison terms for some of these things. We have the ability to do something that is right from a social justice perspective, that supports our farmers, that supports our small businesses. If we do it the right way, this is a big win for Wisconsin as a whole. Not that 5 dispensaries that are state run and we have to pay $8,000 to farm it. Not that way,
Thank you. Yeah, it's
but a real legalization
right.
will help us in so many levels, in so many ways.
Oh, 100%. And I was actually, well, actually, I'll save really diving into it, but I'll let some of the followers, whoever's tuning in tonight, I'm excited to. So it's not, I respect the hell out of a lot of companies in Wisconsin who are selling hemp products that have legitimate effects, mainly the THCA. But where I get frustrated is when people act like what we have in Wisconsin with that right now is nearly enough. It is not even close to enough. and I don't want to get too much into detail because I think it'll be a great topic for a little debate that I want to hold next week. I'm thinking next week or the week after, because you just touch on so many different parts of it. It's not just this. I mean, for me, the number one thing is safe access to
Mhm.
medicine, right? So medical makes great sense if it's done right, and I think every state has gone medical first. Um, taking care of the folks who really need it. I feel like one big misconception that folks who are like, we don't want it legal here. Uh, One big misconception that they have is that cannabis isn't being used, right? And it that's not going to change. I don't think your numbers are going to
Mhm.
fluctuate too much as far as who's using cannabis right now and who's not, because I feel like it's mainly because I feel like the people, there's going to be a shift, right? More people will now that it's legal, but that's going to be more of the people looking to seek pain relief, the kind of
Mhm.
the older crowd who are still like, no, cannabis isn't good. Wait, now it's legal. Well, let me inquire.
Mhm.
Your younger generation, I don't I don't feel comfortable pulling like late high schoolers and early college age people, but I would be willing to bet that they are using cannabis a lot more than alcohol.
Mhm.
Maybe not more, but if not, it's very close.
Mhm.
I can tell you when I learned about cannabis, I was just like, so wait, I don't get aggressive, I don't get angry, I don't get loud, and I don't have a hangover. Oh, and it's a plant? What the hell? How is this illegal? Right? Like,
Yeah.
um, it's crazy. It's crazy. So I do
Mhm.
think that you know it's gotten to the point where most folks who are concerned about it, especially this is what people have to remember. Just like when we're talking about politics, right? You don't got to hit those kind of people with. So if somebody's like, "Oh, I don't think we should legalize," we don't want to be like, "Hey, screw you, buddy. I want my joint when I want my joint." Legitimately catch them off guard. Just,
Mhm.
well, hey, can I ask you what your concerns are about cannabis? Most people don't even know what they're concerned about. It's just
Yeah.
that's what their party had told them, or
Mhm.
that's what they remember being told when they were younger. Like my parents, they wouldn't try it for the longest time. It was only like 2 or 3 years ago. I was in the industry for over a year before they tried anything, and I'd always ask them, "Well, what's your actual concern?" And it was just like they were programmed for
Mhm.
40 some years, 50 some years, that was just, you don't do that, you don't touch that,
Mhm.
it's bad, because that's how it was. So
Mhm.
we're not going to change people's mind who are on the fence by just taking the this route. You should be in jail if you buy that. No, I shouldn't be in jail. Screw you. Like, you know what I mean? We don't need a
Yeah.
crossword or a word search. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it just freedom.
yeah,
It just means so much. Like, alcohol is legal,
right.
right? I'm usually not having like a shot of tequila before I go off and go to work.
Right.
I said usually, like sometimes, but I
Once in a while.
if I could function and have a shot, I probably would, but I can't. So
Sure.
there's some expectation that as an adult, I can make decisions for myself. And we need to lean more into that. At some point, it's just so backwards to me. Like, there's so many great benefits. I just think that, like, my dad, we lost my dad, it'll be 14 years ago in December. He suffered at the end of his life, because he had lung cancer and the
Oh no.
cancer became very aggressive. There's a lot of medical intervention that could be done. The medication that he was receiving was too strong or it was too weak, but the there's so many ways that he could have been helped, and he's not a unique story, so that's not forgive me, papa, you're unique, love you, but this is not like a one-off situation.
Sure.
I like what you're saying. So often we are saying no to stuff because that's what we're programmed to do. We have this soundtrack in our head that in order to be a good person, you need to question some stuff. That's what
Sure.
you need to do.
Sure.
But yeah, I think back to high school again, what I can remember, and people were getting high in high school, and most of them grew up to be pretty decent people.
Sure.
Some of them were buttholes, but they were buttholes with or without being high. But the point is, like, we should be able to make those decisions for ourselves.
Sure.
And for most of us who have a desire, we have a way to meet that desire. The question is it regulated? Is it safe? And again, is it coming from Wisconsin and benefiting folks in Wisconsin?
Yep. I like that. I like that. and kind of talking on that too, could you share any specific challenges that you personally have encountered when advocating for cannabis reform in Wisconsin,
Mm.
and how you would maybe address some of those?
Yeah, remember I said I wasn't super popular? I just wanna go back there for a moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, and now in fairness, for the most part, people openly or covertly support legalization. They really
mm,
do. That's been my experience. But I liken it to freedom in general, right? When I'm talking to folks about being autonomous in decisions that we make with our body, it's the same conversation.
sure,
Let us make decisions that are beneficial for ourselves. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. I mean, if you don't want to get high, don't get high. If you don't want to smoke, don't smoke. If you don't want to drink, don't drink. Don't. You can control you very easily. Why
sure,
does your decision have to impact other people? But I am a member of the faith community.
sure,
And then I get these, well, the things that some of you people say are deplorable. I respect your values, but respect other people's values as well,
sure.
right? And
Yeah,
it's that other turn of the cheek. So that's often the debate for me.
sure.
How do you people, I'm not really sure who you people are, but how do you people support all of these things? And it's because we live in a world where people should be able to govern themselves with as much freedom and liberty as possible. And that's the country that my papa fought for. That's the country that my uncles fought for. That's the country that I am fighting for us to have, is where folks can have some independent decision making without the government getting involved to tell them how they need to live their lives. And
Yeah,
that's
well, and
what's
you bring up a good point too, because it's almost like, and I've thought this for quite some time on many different subjects, but I don't want to come across as a conspiracy theorist, which I feel like is thrown around a lot. But first of all, how do you trust the source of anything these days? You can Google or wherever you get your information, you can support something, and you can completely blow it out of the water with the same with a different web address, right? So it's sometimes it's difficult to understand, but like because it's not just legalization for me, but that's the thing that I saw was lacking a voice in Wisconsin was cannabis
Mhm,
legalization on a large group level. But I mean, like to me, it's common sense that when it when it comes to oh god, I'm gonna get fired from the internet tonight. When it comes to owning a firearm, when it comes to women's rights, when it comes to the COVID vaccine, when it comes to cannabis legalization, I personally don't look at any of those and go, what does my party say? No, I
mhm,
I see a way forward on all of those subjects that I think 95% of the people us 95% of voters could actually agree on and respect. But it's almost like the politics need the division or
yeah,
something because it just like cannabis in Wisconsin, the it's just having seen the amount of people it helped who were
mhm,
getting off pain meds, that kind of stuff. That's what started to get me like, oh my God, I need to do something
mhm,
about this. Like it isn't just me. I already have safe access. I can go to Michigan. I can go to a trusted grower in Wisconsin.
mhm,
Like I was taken care of. But when I'm like, I need to get this information to the Republicans. They're the ones that seem to be holding it up. This would be
mhm.
easy. I mean, it won't be easy, but they just need to be educated. But
Yeah.
then to find out it's not just an education thing because half the people I met with are like, well, no, I don't. I think it's safer than drinking. Well, then why don't you fucking do something about it? You know? So
Well, the party says,
yeah, right.
yeah, and yeah. I
Yeah,
I
and oh, go ahead.
unfortunately, I think you're right, though. I think that hmm, I don't know what I've got nothing to get fired from. So, I think that to a degree that we need a platform. Now, I'm saying we because that's inclusive language instead of they, but there's got to be a platform. There's got to be an us and them. And couldn't we just get along? I'm sorry, Rodney King, but couldn't we? Couldn't we just? Does it have to be? Well, I believe there's so much crap in that.
Mhm.
There's a need for people to be genuine, and there's need for people to have common sense, and there's a need for people to come together. And I see a change and our and some of our national um, campaigns. There you go. I'll say no one's names. And some of our national campaigns, people have taken a rigid stand on certain things like healthcare and reproductive care, and you see suddenly we're taking a step. Wait, I think we might have gone too far. And maybe freedoms matter a little bit more than we originally thought. So let's rethink some of that. It, um, you don't get into so much trouble, I think, when you put you aside and you ask the people. Like, there's a bunch, like, I started off like, I am running to support women. You don't need me to run to support you? Oh, well, what do you need?
Right.
Oh, I see. Well, I didn't know that was going on. That's a big, okay, so this is what we need to change. So let's change that. You don't need a whole bunch of people with their own separate agendas. We need to do what the people want. So anyway, that's my small soapbox to say I think you're right. I think that sometimes folks that are in office or seeking to be in office, they need to have some clear way for you to sing that little tune to let people know that you're their people, and
Sure.
this is one of those issues.
Right.
But if we educate people and we give people the ability to make free choices, why is that bad?
Right.
How is that ever bad?
Well, and even if like let's say, because it sure seems from my real quick, Emily. Yes, I've met with quite a few senators at the Capitol, and that's where I started to realize there's a good amount of Republican senators who are like, they don't understand, dab pens and all, like they definitely need education that way, but they understand that or a lot of them perceive it to even be as safe, if not safer, than alcohol use. But then again, they always get back to this. But my
Mhm,
boss said, well, okay, well, how long are you going to play that card? Because the people are actually your boss, right? That's where
mhm,
we need to hold them accountable. But also, again, if you are a boss and you are the one holding this up, why wouldn't it would behoove you to talk to the folks that are trying to do this? Because if you're actually in this for the right reason, talking about politics, what's your biggest concern, right? Because here's why I want legalization, right? And I would have a chart. Help the people who need pain relief, help the people that
mhm,
it helps with PTSD, help the here's why I've been pushing this hard. Why are you so against it? Let's talk about it respectfully. Okay, here's your main concerns. What can we do to find some kind of common ground? Even if maybe it's only 5 dispensaries a city or something more realistic than 5 in the whole state, like, you know what I mean? Because
mhm,
Menominee, or there's a lot of cities that have a lot of dispensaries. So is your concern too many dispensaries in a city? Well, let's talk about it, right? Like,
mhm,
but the fact that there's no talking is just, that's where it leads you to believe. So LaToya, we're going to hold you to, and I appreciate you coming on here, because we're we're going to get you, like, it might not be. Wait, no, it is coming up. What the fuck? It might not be an election year, Bob. What the hell am I? Okay, that's
yeah,
the pre-roll talking there. Uh,
it's
I
okay.
forgot about the flyers for 4 seconds. I can't believe it. They're going to send me 12 of them tomorrow. How did I forget? But keep it real. I think that is the key to us figuring things
Mhm,
out. Um, I'm going to calm down. We're going to check the comments here real quick. The MLB are cannabis friendly. All right. We need direct voter ballot initiatives. I would agree with that. Javin says, how about we get the right for Wisconsin citizens to get the ability to have a ballot initiatives again? Right. Um, Sarah says, I have found it hard getting to sit down with several reps. That I can see because I have to play the card. So I sent emails, right, to a few folks when I started this. And I just say, hey, I'm Bob. I was wondering if I could sit down and talk to you about cannabis. And I didn't hear from them. So then it clicked, and I was like, wait a second. Okay, I got this. I'm going to play this like a politician. Hi, my name is Bob Hickey Jr. with Let's Legalize Wisconsin. I represent, I think at the time it was like 15,000 Wisconsin voters. We would just like to know your stance. I found an article, and it sounded like you're quoted saying, cannabis will never be legal in Wisconsin. I just wanted to make sure that was your stance on cannabis before I share that with the people. If that is your stance, no need to respond to this email. And then people would start, oh, hey, yeah, how you doing? Come on down. We'll talk to you. So I always try to take with a grain of salt what they do tell me. And again, there's plenty of folks who I'm sure are in this for the right reason, and there's got to be something in this specific topic, and I'm sure plenty of other ones that is like voodoo to talk about, or you're going to get your ass fired, or I don't know. but we need real people in office to make real change. And you coming on here to talk about this is awesome. And I felt that again with you, and I felt you wouldn't have a problem coming on here because I have a feeling once you get in office, you're going to hold that word. And if you don't, LaToya, I'm going to pull up this podcast. I'm going to be at your office door. I'll be like, not about legalization. Like, I'm not gonna be like, you didn't legalize. I'll just be like, hey, you said you were gonna keep it real, LaToya. What's going on here? Because I feel like
Um,
you're gonna be keeping it real. I'm gonna be
yeah.
walking by like, LaToya, what's up?
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So medicinal is the common ground, Bobby. Yes, it is, Javin. 100%. And but there's still no. Can't talk to anybody about that either. I would 100% agree with that if I could talk to anybody. Um, you can't though. I tell him I want to talk about veteran issues to get me in the door. That's smart Mohican. Kind of play it that way because it does. It helps so many people.
Mhm.
Um, so I got another question here for you. Do you have an idea what steps you would prioritize if you were elected to help move cannabis legalization forward in the state? Have you?
Oh my goodness. I think there's a couple things that are important. I'm trying to get us. I'm trying not to get on the soapbox,
Yeah, yeah.
but prior to this year, as you all probably have heard, we had this whole gerrymandered map situation. And even coming into this election cycle, you can see that there's a lot of folks who have still continued to behave like their seats are not up for grabs. Like I know the person who's in my seat has been acting very nonchalant for the last several months. It, Having new folks in office getting elected to the assembly will be a wake up call because that thick wall of we are not movable, we are going to set the tone, we don't have to listen, will be penetrated. And once the people have exercised their power and have held their electeds accountable, then we have this wonderful playing field that we haven't had before. So, with that, first thing we need to do is forget about that previous bill that they tried to push through. Governor Evers has been supportive of legalization. He's openly been supportive. Saw him last week, and he's like, I know. Okay, so he's supportive. I know there's a vast number of folks on the Senate, and I think in the Assembly, if we are able to elect the right people, I think we will have the numbers to get a bill passed. The first thing to do would be to write that bill so that we have folks who are independent growers and farmers in Wisconsin are not paying hefty taxes and highly regulated. They can actually grow, as my husband would say, herbs that can be
There you go.
that can be utilized for the right purposes. We also need to set up infrastructure that would mean more than five, maybe not unlimited, but we can look at per population. We can look at some rubrics, but we can start to look at what legalization would look like from the perspective of who can sell. And our growers and sellers do not need to have high taxes. They do not need to have additional $8,000 for a license. Are you kidding me? So we need to be real and get folks at the table who are experienced. We need to get farmers at the tables. We need to get the small businesses at the tables and look at what this process needs to look like. We also need to really talk to our law enforcement folks because they are no longer. Decriminalization will be gone. No criminalization is where we're looking at letting out of our brothers and sisters that have been previously incarcerated and expunging the records of those people as well and getting them back to a place where they have restored their voting rights and they're able to take care of their families and have housing options that they didn't have before. So I suppose what I'm saying is it's a lot of work we need to do. But step one is getting folks at the table to lay out a plan that would be part of a bill that we can finally pass because we will have shown our current legislators that that same old yesterday politics doesn't work anymore and we actually have to listen to the people of Wisconsin. This is what we want. It makes sense for Wisconsin and it will bring so many opportunities. Let's start doing that.
Let's go. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. New Breed Marcus says, what about pioneers that were tagged as felons? What do you think? What are you thinking on that kind of way? And I think where Marcus
Well,
would be touching is really the pioneers are the ones who are in prison because they were the
mhm,
ones who knew before the rest of us that
mhm,
okay, this helps people. I'm gonna help.
mhm.
What would be your? I mean, I don't need you to write the bill right now, but what comes to mind when we're talking that kind of way?
But if we do write the bill right now, we do. I
Hey, there
think
you go.
that, like, for people who are currently incarcerated, I think that they need to come home. For people who have a felony conviction or even a misdemeanor on their record, that record needs to be expunged and sealed, and they need to be restored. Yeah, expunged.
Yeah.
And so there's no record of, yeah, we out. That's it. I'm sorry, you said we are out. I just skipped that R. We out. I think that's so important, folks. And then from a very capitalistic perspective, we are paying to incarcerate people because they were selling weed. Seriously.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying. So I think that is not, I mean, they may have to wait to a Tuesday because Wisconsin prisons only let people out on Tuesdays. But I think that folks need to come home, and again, they need to have their records expunged, and maybe with a letter of apology, because the the culture has changed a long time ago. We have folks that are like small amounts of THC possession are decriminalized.
Sure.
Yes, license equity for felons. Okay.
We got Michigan outsold Calvin. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, I didn't see that they outsold both of them together. It's interesting. I do think, and actually, I want to just this will be the last thing we talk about LaToya, because this was something that I don't know how, but I was missing the mark, and I think a lot of people are. Where when I heard the word social equity, and you see it, what other states have done, that kind of thing. To me, it always made sense to have, and it has a place, I think,
Hmm.
but it just to me it seemed fair that it would be, well, let's offer up people who have been, put down because of this. Let's put them at the front of the list. That makes good sense to me. However, if that's our only real offering to right our wrong, I think you had owned you're a small business owner, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it easy?
No.
No. I
No.
mean, this
No.
little business I got to track the receipts. I got to fill out forms. If I
Hmm.
give away a hoodie, I got to write it down. I got to put the address it went to. Like, you got to pay people to help you run a business. And that's this. I don't have like, I don't own a shop. I just have I'm in my basement. I got some material as far as clothes and print material. I'm afraid to look at buying a storefront and the red tape, and then to talk about cannabis, owning a cannabis business. Sure, that's great, and there are people who can do that. I'm not saying anybody is smarter than anybody else or anything, but to say here's how we're going to reward you. Good luck filling out all this paperwork, running a business, and that's how we're going to repay you. Again, I think it has a place, but I definitely think it falls short, very short of we're giving back to everybody who's affected. I think there has
Hmm.
to be a lot more going back to communities, to boots on the ground.
Hmm.
To yeah, does that make sense, or am I
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, I think. Um, I don't know that there's any way that you can really repay people. That's
right?
the real.
Sure,
And I think the best we can do is a token of appreciation, getting it right and paying it forward. And that doesn't mean we don't do anything. That just means that we need to acknowledge that if you give someone a $10,000 business grant, that didn't fix this. Right? That's just a nice thing that you can do. I I'm curious to know what makes it better, because I'm thinking, like, from the folks that I know that have been incarcerated because of these issues, their lives have been so completely changed
right,
that I mentioned a minute ago, expungement and making sure all the records are sealed. That's from a legal perspective. From a wholehearted apology from the governor, that's a nice thing to do. But beyond that, how do we have some type of repayment that makes sense for them? That's not a slap in the face.
right,
I agree we should do something,
right.
but I don't know what that something looks like. And I think,
Yeah,
again,
me either. It really caught me, and it's been a couple weeks now, and I'm just like,
mhm,
I don't even know for sure, because like I think taking part of the tax, from a county, let's say the county tax, putting that back into
mhm,
maybe certain communities that would have the higher rates of incarceration or that kind
mhm,
of thing. But still, like you say, I mean, people's lives have been just to just think about somebody who sits in jail over a drug possession, and to think
Mhm.
of how that person just gets treated on the daily,
Mhm.
and then coming back into society, and you're applying to work at Burger King, but you got a felony. Oh, we don't. That's a whole other
Yeah.
ball game. You should have told us that sooner. And like, bro, I smoked a joint.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think there's still something to be figured out there.
Mhm.
And there might not be a perfect answer, but I sure feel like after that realization I had, I would just want to exhaust all
Yeah.
potential ideas before we just say, that is the best, because there's got to be something out there, um,
Right.
something to,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what it looks like, but it can't be
Mhm.
forgotten, in my
I
opinion.
agree. And maybe the answer is we get folks together, we do some discussions, and we come up with possibilities. Maybe it's you're tax free for 10 years. I don't know if that helps anybody. Maybe
Yeah,
it's you get the license to run your own dispensary. I don't know what that looks like. But maybe there's not, I don't think there will be one solution that fits everyone. I think different people, different things would be helpful. But I think we should really have those conversations because we can't pretend it's a there was a TV show called Weeds. Did you ever watch?
yeah,
No.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. And then, they're running this little side business and side hustle, and towards the end of the series, it's legalized. But then like the stigma is, okay, so these rich people have decided that it's okay, now it's fine. But then look at all the people
that were.
impacted.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and just like Jolene says here, don't understand how in Jackson County it's mandatory appearance for possession of THC, but Dunn County was just a fine. And then if you're in Madison, you probably wouldn't even get stopped, or
Yep.
it's decriminalized. Same with Green Bay.
Mm.
One real quick, Marcus. So Marcus is a go getter. Marcus is he's the guy that should be part of trying to figure out whether it's legalization, farming, social equity.
Mm-hmm.
Like Marcus, when we had we were both at an event. Was that last week? Oh my God, everything's just a blur. The last couple of weeks, I think it was last week. And I wish I would have recorded. Actually, I did record, but I wasn't focused on him. Marcus just gets it. He's an awesome. He like, I don't even know, dude. He moved me with what he said, as far as what he's been through and the wrongs with legalization and incarceration with cannabis. And so it does not surprise me that Marcus just needs the obstacles out of the way. That I can totally understand that coming from Marcus. Um, but also, Marcus, we need to figure out how to help some of the folks that don't want to run a business. But Marcus, yeah, he will get over them obstacles, but damn it, just get him out of the way, because he does not shouldn't have to deal with them with everything he's done being a pioneer out there in the industry. Um, and then Hugs, not right. Oh, cannabis. I'm a farmer. They made a felon. I think we're caught up on the comments, but I didn't. I always try not to keep people more than an hour, LaToya. So I apologize on that front.
No
Really
worries.
appreciate you stopping out to talk to with some of us here tonight on the podcast. Excited to see. So, how many days we got till election day here? What are we?
Less than 2 weeks.
Woo! Less than 2 weeks. Please make sure you guys get out and vote. Your District 37. What area is that again? Was it Mayville?
Yes, it includes Mayville. So northern Dodge County, Beaver Dam, Mayville, Lamira, southern Fond du Lac County, and we have a little nugget of Columbia County, including Randolph, Columbus, Fox Lake. We have Olive Pond too, by the way.
Okay.
So that means
Right
a
on.
lot.
So she's out in that area. If you guys know anybody, please share this clip or have them get in touch with LaToya. Again, I don't push one party specifically. It probably seems that way because there's really, well, we've had a couple Republicans on. To reach out to the same on both sides. Let me tell you. Actually, I just signed up today for when I saw Trump was having a rally. I signed up for media coverage. It was here in Green Bay, so we'll see how that turns out. I want to keep things from a coverage standpoint unbiased as possible. I feel like that's how we should treat each other. That's how we should be. This is an open platform for anybody who wants to come on and talk. You can watch anybody I've talked to on the show. I don't belittle people. We are all about just togetherness around here. I mean, it's kind of fitting. got pot leaks around us and stuff, because I think that, I still go back to like One Love. I say that a lot, but I see why they say it so often now. Like, as far as like back in the day, One Love, bro, the hippies, whatever. Like, that's what we need to get back. We don't have to all turn into like the old school hippies, but we should focus on one love, one community, and one driving force going forward. I think we could really make some change, starting with the state of Wisconsin. So, Javin says, thank you for keeping up the fight. You bet, man. Appreciate you swinging by. LaToya, I'll try to get this into a few clips over the next day or two so that we can get this out to some folks in your area too who are going to be voting. Because again, I try to approach things from, don't vote for someone because of what party they are in. What is their message? What do they do on a live forum? To me, that's huge. So thank you for coming out tonight. Best of luck in your endeavors. Let's stay in touch. And if there's ever anything I can do to help you out, or if you ever need the platform, or, talking to any of the people, let me know. And maybe one day we'll be working on some kind of a canvas council together. Who knows?
I love it.
All righty.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for stopping out, everybody. Hopefully you have a great rest of the week. We'll catch you next week. We've got Growmax, the gentleman who owns Growmax, John from Appleton. Actually, you had met him, LaToya. It was from the same event. So he'll be on the show next week. So going to get him a few questions about growing. He's got all the products, that kind of stuff down there. Again, that would obviously be for hemp growing, and for tomatoes. We don't want to play any risky games. So we're going to be legal soon, so then we'll be able to. But we're going to get out of here. Everybody, have a great night. We're out of here, guys. See you, LaToya. Thanks again.
Good night.